James Purdey and Sons is probably the most well-known, best quality manufacturer, known for their over and under, side-by-side best quality shotguns, as well as best quality double rifles. And what we have here today that's coming up in our May premiere sale is a trio of their over and under side lock shotguns. What makes this trio so spectacular, not only the engraving, which we'll get into here in a little bit, but it is a subframe. It's a 28 gauge. All three of these are 28 gauges. Two of them have extra 410 barrels. And again, we'll kind of go into a little bit more in the configuration. If you were to order a new Purdey today, it's going to be a 2-3 year process to get those guns. That's what you see here. Is that this is an opportunity for you to get a best quality over-under trio, sub gauge, like everything that you could possibly think of that somebody would want, and you're going to be able to get it now, or at least in May. The amount of handwork, the amount of hours that gets put into a Purdey shotgun is astronomical, and that's why you see these 2 to 3 year waits. They're not making miniguns in a year. So when I say a best quality shotgun, what makes a best quality shotgun? Well, there's several things that are really kind of required to be considered a best quality. Number one, you're gonna be looking at a side lock of some sort. When you have a side lock, you can see here, that's this lock right here. Everything is on the back side of this plate as far as the lock goes. It's much more difficult to manufacture. It's a more complex system. Stock to the fences, that's another thing here. You can see that the stock comes all the way out to the fences. That's another very complicated thing to get right, but again, for best quality, you're gonna see that. But also something you're going to see with any best quality shotguns is just the attention to detail and the fit and finish of the overall gun, right? So obviously we got a beautiful piece of wood here. You see a lot of guns that are not best quality. They put a good chunk of wood on it, and that's very desirable. But again, it's all about the fit and the finish. So when they actually are putting together the fit and the finish of the metal, they're actually going to use a lamp. They're going to put a fine layer of black soot on each part of that metal. They're going to fit it together, and they're going to see any spots where it's wearing, and then that's where they're going to file it down and make it a perfect fit. And again, it's all done by hand. They do now use some CNC machining, but the fit and the finish, it's all done by hand, which takes hundreds of hours, literally hundreds of hours, to put together this entire gun. And you have specialists that are doing each part of the gun. You have a stocker, you have an actioner, you have a barrel maker, and that's really all they're dedicated to, is perfecting that craft. So that's before we get into the engraving, okay? We're talking hundreds of hours of just building the gun. And then this trio was done by master engraver Simon Coggan, who is very, very well-known engraver, very sought-after engraver for Purdey. And he's going to take hundreds of hours in the engraving of these three shotguns. So we'll get into the engraving here a little bit more. The thing I like about this gun, I mean, you see a lot of these high-end guns have game scenes on them. This does, but it's a little more subtle in the fact that you're going to see kind of your traditional rose and scroll English engraving on the side locks, but then we have a game scene on each one of these on the bottom. So on the number one gun, as we get to the bottom here, we can see we've got a couple of doves flying in front of a field. Again, just beautiful game scene engraving, but I just love the fact it's subtle. Again, all three guns look the same from the sides, but then each one has their own little personality on the bottom. Then we'll take a look at the number two gun here, and this on the bottom game scene. So we see here it's a couple bobquite and what looks like a Texas game scene. We've got the cactus here in the bottom. It looks like we have a yucca tree, and then we have a windmill in the background. Again, just beautifully executed game scene engraving, but very subtle. Again, I can't overemphasize how much I appreciate the subtleness of it. And then on the number three gun, here we've got another game scene on the bottom, which is a pair of woodcock, just in a forested scene. Again, just three really quintessential American game scenes. Texas game scene here on the second one, but I certainly think would be reminiscent for any upland hunters in America. Once again, just three like very quintessential American upland game scenes. I think very, very tastefully done on this trio of shotguns. Again, I talked earlier a little bit about the configuration of these shotguns and what makes them kind of unique. You see a lot of, especially English doubles, coming in pairs, and they're matched pairs, right? Typically done for the English driven game shooting or driven shoots, where you're going to have one gun loaded, shoot it, pass it off to a loader, and just keep going that way. So you want the exact same gun. What we've got here in this trio, I mean, the 28 gauges, there's all three are in 28 gauge, and then two of these have 410 barrels, extra 410 barrels to go along with them. And then the third 28 gauge has choke tubes put in it, which was something done at the factory. Purdey will put stuff in, will put choke tubes in. But again, it's kind of this unique configuration, and I don't know the person that ordered it, why, I guess what they had in mind when they did this combination, but I could certainly see a lot of uses for it. Again, you've got really what's almost a matched pair with the 28 and the 410 barrels. You could think of all kinds of different scenarios that you would use those, and then you have the 28 gauge with the choke tubes that kind of fills in anything else that you could possibly think of. So I think just a very unique configuration on this trio. I think it'd be very useful for a lot of hunters. So, and I mean, this, even though these are, what I would consider investment quality firearms, obviously very high quality, very desirable in the not only the configuration but also in the engraving. But again, just something you could go out and use. You could have these would look great in your gun case, but then also out in the field. If you would like to take a closer look at these, I would very highly encourage you to come to our brand new state-of-the-art Bedford auction facility in Bedford, Texas, right in the heart of the DFW Metroplex area. For this auction, May 17th, 18th, and 19th, with the full-day preview on May 16th, we're going to have many other shotguns, thousands of other types of firearms, high-quality, premier investment-grade firearms. It will absolutely be the best gun show you get to see in person. You get to handle many of the guns. I cannot encourage somebody enough to come take a look at it. It's worth the flight down there to come to our auction facility and take a look at all these guns. And possibly bid on some stuff. So once again, May 17th, 18th, 19th, with the full day preview on May 16th. Go to our website as well, www.rockislandauction.com, and take a look at them before you come see us in Bedford.